Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cryptic TNG back with another video, and this time it's going to be something a little bit different. It's more just going to be a bit more just to talk about Project Cars and certain things about the game that I like, certain things I don't like, things that I think they could do better and whatnot, and generally just really get stuck into the game after having it for a few weeks now. So yeah, at the moment enjoying Project Cars quite a lot. Only thing I'm not enjoying is obviously the little bugs and stuff like that, but I'm expecting them to patch that and get that kind of stuff sorted out before too long for the consoles, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, at the moment doing a lot of sort of hot laps. This is the only race I've actually done. This race was actually a AOR evaluation race, and yeah, it wasn't all the guys from the top tier. It was sort of a mix of guys, all sorts of skill levels, just to sort of find out which cars were a bit OP, which cars had the right balance. And for me it was just sort of good to find out how I needed to drive in a race, whether I could sort of just, like P-Cars 1, you can just pretty much just push flat out for the whole race distance, barring just a pit stop, and pretty much other than that you would just sort of push as hard as you could in the first one. And this Project Cars is a lot different. I feel you got to drive a lot within yourself. You got to be a lot smarter with how you treat your car in a race. You can't just sort of push for the whole duration of the race because you'll pay for it. And I'm enjoying that part of the race, and it was my first race that was sort of any longer than sort of 5 or 6 laps. So for me, I made quite a few mistakes. Luckily for me, CJ, his computer froze before this race, so although I qualified on pole, CJ did have the pace to get pole, and he definitely had the pace to win the race, but unfortunately his computer froze. So it meant I could sort of concentrate on just managing my car through the race. And yeah, it was a lot more difficult than what I thought it would be, especially the tires. They tend to they tend to overheat. When you use the soft tires, they tend to overheat, and there's not a lot you can really do about changing that. I mean, on the first lap of this race, I put the engine to standard and pretty much didn't push. In practice, I was running 45s with a full tank. I didn't even add up the fuel and figure out how much fuel I needed for the race. I just put in a full tank of fuel, and I knew that I'd get me to the end. I didn't actually test the fuel. So next time, obviously, the fuel will be tested, so that we won't be so heavy. I think I actually finished the race with about 44 litres worth of fuel still on board, so it was a bit silly. But yeah, the tires in this game is not really a lot you can do to recover the tires once they start burning up, and the effect that they have once your tires start wearing, they start getting pretty low, sort of below 20%. It kind of reminds me of the force feedback bug from Project Cars 1, where your wheel would just start grinding and grumbling, and that's how it feels when your tyres wear down. It's a lot more challenging. In practice, we were running in the race, we were running 1 minute 45s with a full tank of fuel, and in the race, because I knew I didn't really have to push as much as I would have had to if CJ was in the race, so I sort of settled around the 1 minute 47s, put it in standard engine mix, and just kind of tried to cruise. But even then the tires are still overheating, and the longer you go on in the stint, the more the brakes would lock up, the more you'd feel certain things change in the car's characteristics. Now I really like that, because it's not as simple as just push all the way to the end. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, and I found it was quite tricky. I made a good amount of mistakes in this race, and I like the way it's opened up the strategy. You can you might see 2-stoppers now. When we're doing AOR races, you might see people who want to go on the softs do 2-stoppers. You might see people that just want to run the hard. But to me, you know, you can run hard and be sort of 2 seconds off the pace. So it's all a compromise. And before the season started, I thought I'm gonna pick a car that's gonna give me the best chance of race wins. I'm gonna pick a car that's quick. But now I think it's more about picking a car that's got the overall balance of being a bit competitive and something that is gonna save its tires well and allow you to drive sort of to a delta time all the way through your stint. So that's pretty much where my head is in terms of doing races and stuff like that. But the only thing I will say is with the BOP, especially of the GT3 class, I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you, because it seems as if the Ferrari and the McLaren are streets ahead of anything else. Then the Audi is again streets ahead of anything else behind it, and everything else after that is sort of close in performance. But the Ferrari is so much quicker than anything else. I think you can get the McLaren similar speed to the Ferrari on some tracks, but for me the Ferrari seems to work everywhere. On every track the Ferrari is rapid, so it's a little disappointing. We've gone sort of back to Project Cars days, Project Cars 1 day, sorry, where it was Z4, M3 and the rough, and obviously the M3 got banned from the AOR Championship, so it was just a Z4 and a rough that blatantly had a big advantage over every other car. Do you know what I mean? So I would like to see it more balanced. I'd like to see the sort of the AMG a lot closer in performance to the Ferrari and the 650. I'd like to see the Audi. Well, the Audi's not too bad. I think if all the other cars were about the same pace as the Audi, it wouldn't be so bad. But then you've got cars like the Lambo, obviously doesn't have a front splitter, so you don't get that front downforce. But I mean, in real life, the Lambo is a very quick car, so you'd expect them cars to be up there. You'd expect the Lambo, the Audi, the AMGs to be sort of at the front of the pack. And for me on this game, they're just so far behind the Ferrari, and the 650S is a bit of a joke. So I'm pretty much expecting, you know, if you go into a league race, I'm pretty much expecting everyone to just pick a Ferrari. I mean, the 650S is, in my opinion, about maybe 2 or 3 tenths off the Ferrari, but you got to work a little bit more with the setup to get it there, and people are going to pick the easy option and just go for the Ferrari. So again, I don't know, it's sort of a league killer almost. I don't want to see a whole field of the same car. I want to see some guys in the M6, some guys in the AMG, some guys in the Audi, the Lambo, and still everyone's competitive. That's sort of what I wanted to see when this game came out. So hopefully they fix the BOP. I don't know if they will, because what I will say is when you go into an open lobby and all the cars are on default setup, then they are quite close. But when you start fine-tuning each car, you realize that the Ferrari is pretty much in a league of one or league of two with the 650S, and everything else is just playing catch-up. And you'll know instantly with the Ferrari how quick the Ferrari is, because I can put a setup on the Ferrari that's not working well. I'm understeering everywhere, the car doesn't feel good, and I'll still be quicker than I am in anything else. And I could put a setup on, say, the NSX. I've got that feeling pretty nice, but it's just too slow. It's just too slow, and it's kind of disappointing, because I wanted to sort of try a few different cars. But what's the point of trying a car and just being down somewhere in the mid pack just because the car's not up to it? I mean, I don't really mind just racing for racing's sake, but at the same time, you want to fight. You want to see a fight at the front, and you want to see some different manufacturers. Otherwise, what's the point in having all these different cars if there's only one car that's ever going to give you a real chance to win the race? So hopefully that's something that they fix, because I remember when the Bentley Continental GT3 came out on Project Cars 1, and it was so fast, so much faster than all the GT3 cars, and then eventually they patched it and they reined it in. So hopefully they do something similar. It's quite clear to me that the cars from Project Cars 1 are not even nearly competitive anymore. The Z4's nowhere, the SLS, just forget about it, the Aston Martin, no, none of these cars, they're nowhere. You might get a certain track, like if you want to do, for some crazy reason, an oval, then yeah, you pick the SLS because it's got the highest top speed. But other than that, nah, the window is very small for cars that you're going to be competitive with. So yeah, hopefully that's probably my biggest gripe with the game at the minute, apart from the glitches and the bugs, which I really wish they would just get that patch out as soon as possible. Because, you know, we're all, especially us who were doing league races, we're definitely waiting on a patch for the game to be improved, waiting on a patch that makes it sort of raceable online, where people are not getting stuck in the pits and stuff like that. Because obviously for CJ and for me as well, it was disappointing, because it could have been a good battle. We could have figured out that, you know, I could have ran a different strategy to CJ and stuff like that, so we could have seen how that worked out. But you see there, as I'm struggling with the car, you see me drop it, and yeah, it's not as easy to get your car started either. Like once you stall it, you really got to put in your work on the clutch. That's if you have automatic clutch off, which obviously I always do. So yeah, and even with that little spin, it takes a bit off your tires and just makes it even harder to manage your tires after that. I noticed as well, like when I was driving, I was cruising in standard engine mix, and then as soon as I felt that I wanted to push, as soon as I felt like I wanted to go quick and whacked it up to fast engine, I might do a quicker lap time, but the following laps after that time, you'll see how much them fast laps actually took out of my tires, and I'll be struggling just to lap within a second of what I was doing prior to the fast lap. So you got to be really mindful with how you attack the race and how you choose to drive the race, because everything you do you will pay for at some stage. So it's going to be who can drive the smoothest, the quickest without pushing, the quickest without taking life out of their tires. That's going to be the person who's going to win races, and it might not necessarily be the fastest guy. So yeah, it's very interesting. I like the way how the strategies, how I think you might see more than one pit stop. Normally for me, whenever I play in racer games, I always think that F1 games always have the strategic side is always a lot better on like the F1 games, but on this game I think they might have found something where if I was, for instance, we're doing a 36 lap race like this one, instead of on P-Cars 1 where everyone would pretty much pit on either lap 17 or lap 18 because that's like halfway, on this game you might pit on lap 14 and then, or lap 13, and decide to go from soft tires to hard tires just to get yourself to the end of the race, where someone who's pitting on lap 18, they're not going to know what you've changed your tires to, so they might just think you're on a two-stopper, and then they'll stay out till lap 18. But when your tires go down, you can lap up to three seconds off the pace, so you could be losing time hand over fist and not even realize that the person's only one stopping. So there's so much strategies you can do now. You can stop on sort of lap 10 and just go for a two-stopper, push all the way with the soft tires, which if that's your driving style, you might prefer to push. You can see me there driving on the grass trying to do my pit strategy while I'm on the track, and it's not easy when you got the F1 rim, because the buttons are not in the best place to fix your strategy. So you can see me getting distracted trying to fix my stuff on the wheel. But yeah, it's pretty hard, but I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I'm liking how you have to really focus. You can't miss a trick now. You really have to focus on your race and looking after your car, which is something that you never really had to do on P-Cars 1. It wasn't, you just pretty much just went flat out, tried to get to the end as fast as you could. But now you have to manage your tires. Well, I'll say on P-Cars 1, in a race you'd manage your tires only if you was doing a no stopper. If you was doing sort of a league race and you're deciding that you're not going to stop, then there was an element of having to manage your tires. But in this game, regardless, you're going to be managing your tires. So you can be fast at the beginning. I might even, if I'm in a race and people are pulling away from me, I might just let them go and focus on managing my car, because at the rate of the tire wear, they all come back to you. So all these little things you got to think about. But again, I think it's an extra element to the game that is a lot better. But I think as soon as they get the bugs and stuff like that fixed, I think the racing leagues will be different level to what they were on the first P-Cars. Now, going to things that I still would like to see them improve upon, one of the biggest things for me is the speed of the menus. It's just, it's horrific. It's so slow, and it's just like, I'm an impatient person in general, but them menus just take the piss. I mean, you sit there, you're waiting to get into a session, and sort of there might be 2 minutes left in the session that you might want to jump in online, but it takes so long to get into the session. By the time you actually jump in, you can't even race, and it's just like, just please, that's something that just needs to get sorted. The way it just moves so slow, you always think that your game's either frozen or bugged out or something, but it's just, the menus are just that slow, and it's like, I wish they would sort that out. Things that bug me are little things that I would think that they could sort out. But yeah, I really wish they'd speed up the menu. I don't like the way in time trial, if you crash, that even when you restart the session, it keeps your visual damage. I don't like that. I think they should just get rid of the whole damaging time trial thingy. It kind of, it's just not needed really. But yeah, other than that, yeah, the licensing. I think the licensing is a good idea. Sort of similar to iRacing in a way, but of course the problem is that some people online don't care about their rating. They don't care to rank up. They just literally go on just to mess about, and they don't mind cleaning you out, and it affects your ratings when someone smashes into you. So that again is a little bit funny. I'd like to see that improve. I'd like to see sort of, you know, something that can determine who was at fault for a lot of these crashes, because you get people that just wipe you out for the fun of it, wipe you out if you're quicker than them, and people that they're just there to mess around. They don't care sort of about ranking up. And obviously if you want to get to the top rank so you can do sort of the top esports events, then you're going to sort of need to have a relatively clean slate, and it's quite hard to get at the beginning where all you're doing is racing guys that just want to smash you off a track. So it can become quite frustrating, but I guess there's not really much they can do about that. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to live with that for now. But yeah, if there's anything that you want to see implemented in Project Cars in the future, leave something in the comments, man. What's your feelings on the game so far? How do you feel about things? How do you feel about the races and stuff like that? I mean, I should probably race more cars than just the GT3s, but that is pretty much my main focus is the GT3s. But I will eventually start racing some other cars, but for now, definitely I'm focusing on the GT3s, as is. I'm sure AOR will be running the championship, and I'll be looking to battle for wins, battle for the top spots and that. But yeah, other than that, leave your comments in the comment section down below. Tell me what you think about the game. It's Cryptic TMG. Like and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell. Make sure you're one of the first to watch my new videos. And after that, all I can say, I guess, is peace.